Hello everyone, this is Aldrin Guerrero and welcome to week number 6 for Ukulele Underground University Ukulele 101. My name is Aldrin Guerrero. I'm joined as per usual by Mr. Aaron, the voice Nakamura. Say what's up, Aaron.
What's up?
And also by Mr. Kahai for again. Say what's up, Kahai.
What's up?
All right, so we've had 5 full weeks of Ukulele 101 with a little bit of break in between. I know we were at NAM and we apologize for that, but you know what? We've had 5 solid weeks of awesome content, for you folks, and a lot of beginner stuff, but we wanted to kind of give you guys something to think about. So even though, you're a intermediate or advanced player, we kind of, we packaged it so that you guys can learn something new as well. So in the 5 weeks that we've done this, we want to be able to take a look back at what we covered before we move on to the next half. So think of this as kind of your semester break. So if we had, a full year of classes right in the middle, we have our semester break, right? So after week 5, of course, we're going to take a little break halfway through, and then we're going to do the next 5 or the last 5 lessons or last 5 weeks here at Ukulele 101. So that's kind of how we're doing this. We're kind of doing it just like a university. So our little semester break, but we're not going to give you a midterm test or anything. But this is kind of like your midterm. We just want to go over the stuff that we covered. And if you guys have any kind of questions, anything like that, this will be the time to do it. All right. So we are live, and we are joined by our live chat. So we have a couple of live chats. We have a live chat over on UU Plus, and we have a live chat over on the YouTubes. All right. So UU Plus members have their very own chat. We're gonna be taking a look at those first, so those get a little bit of priority. And then if anything else, we'll go dip into our YouTube's comments. All right, so we're gonna treat this very, very, very casual. We're just gonna be talking story. I'm gonna be going over all the Ukulele 101 stuff. So it's gonna be kind of like a Q&A. All right, so ask me any questions that you may have in regards to Ukulele 101. So here we go. Let's look at the first week. So during the first week, we did an introduction to ukulele. We showed you folks the history and how to hold the ukulele, how to tune your uke, and we also went through your first 3 chords and your first song, all right? So our first 3 chords, of course, were C, F, and G. So for myself, this is always kind of the nerve-wracking, part about teaching the ukulele, is to, pretty much try to show a full-on beginner, and I try to think of it as if like that person has never touched an ukulele before. How would you teach that person how to hold their ukulele? So I was looking at Ukulele 101 week 1 when we first did it back in, I want to say 2008 or 2009. So when we did it back then, we just kind of skimmed through it. But this is actually the week or the contents that we get asked a lot about. It's like, how do I hold my ukulele? So we changed up a few things. One of the things that we changed up is kind of the concept of when we're holding our ukulele, we're using our forearm to kind of pinch it, but you're actually pinching it forward, right? Like this. So we need to bring it back. So that's one of the things that, that we kind of changed with Ukulele 101 this time around. So we're kind of pushing it back like this, and we're just kind of using our left hand to keep things in place. And that way, when we play our chords, even with a C chord with just one finger like this, that's enough to kind of hold our ukulele back into place. It's good because we got a momentum going this way and a momentum keeping it in from this side as well. So when we hold our ukulele, if I know you guys can kind of tell that I'm sitting down a little bit, so I'm resting usually on my knee like this. But if I were to let go of my thigh or my knee, and I'm kind of this sitting up straight position, I'm still holding it, pretty evenly, pretty steady. It's not going anywhere. Make sure that it's tilted just a little bit, not full on, tilted like this. We're not like classical musicians and we're doing our classical pickings like that, but just somewhere right here. You don't want it too straight either, because if you're doing it too straight, it's going to be a little bit difficult to get your wrist. Oh, let me just move here a little bit. For your wrist to kind of move, when you're doing the G7 chord, if it's too far down like this, then your wrist is going to be turning like at a weird angle. So if you bring it up a little bit right here, maybe if this is I want to say 90 degrees from where I am, or my forehead. You want to bring it up a little bit, not quite at 45, but maybe right here. Okay, in between 45 and 90. So about right here. We were a clock. This is 12 o'clock, 1, maybe 2 or 2:30. And 3 o'clock is right here. So maybe 2, 2:30, be right there. Okay, so that will kind of help keep all your positions, all your form exactly the same. And we're doing the form to keep it steady, because form is very important, as that just like how we learned in the first few weeks of Ukulele 101, that everything pretty much falls in that same form. The strumming form that we have on our right hand and how we hold our ukulele, things are gonna stem from there. So if you start out with good foundation, with good form, everything else is gonna come a lot easier. All right. So other new things that we did with Ukulele 101 this time around is we were a little bit more descriptive on how we explain to you folks how to hold chords. So this time around, when we hold chords, we're using the analogy of rainbows. You see how rainbows kind of curl this way. Just like rainbows, our fingers are going to curl the same exact way. So if I'm playing a C chord, my ring finger, you see it right like that. So my ring finger here has got this nice curve, kind of like a rainbow curve. And at the end of the rainbow is our pot of gold, right? So our pot of gold is that A string 3rd fret. So that's how we hold it. I see a lot of people, holding their chords like this, where they're kind of bending this first knuckle back. That's actually a bad habit. You don't want to be starting that bad habit of holding it this way, because when you hold it this way, it's not going to allow you to do some of the techniques that we're going to be learning later on. So for example, if you're doing pinky mutes, doing your pinky mute, if you lock your first knuckle down like this, holding your pinky mute is going to be a little bit difficult. Like it's hard, and you have to kind of swing your wrist around like this, and it's just an awkward position. Doing the rainbow kind of makes it a little bit more natural, because it's almost like taking your hand and just making a fist like this, right? So instead of taking your hand and making them straight and awkward like that, if you're doing one of these and you're just bending down your first knuckle, then that's not really a natural way of holding your fingers. It looks more like this, okay? Natural way of curving our fingers look like this, right? Just like making a fist. So we want to be able to take that same kind of position and use that to play our chords. So that's why I changed it up a little bit. And to give you guys a visual, I use the analogy of rainbows, and it's just like a rainbow. If we're playing the F chord, there's 2 rainbows, double rainbow all the way. Going with our middle finger G string 2nd fret, pointer finger E string 1st fret. And that also the arch also allows us to clear the other strings. So you don't want to be touching the other strings. So some people who lock their first knuckle is going to have a hard time like touching, the other strings, and it's starting to sound like this, okay? So you don't want that. You want a nice rainbow, nice arch over the other strings, so we're not touching anything else. So C, F, and G. Notice how none of my fingers on the first knuckle, any of my fingers are bent back like this. So we want to be able to correct that bad habits right off the bat. Okay, all right. And the only finger I would say that I bend backwards every now and then fingers would be my middle and my ring fingers. So I do bend them back, but that's when we're using the E chord and the D minor chord, but we're not quite there yet. All right, so I just want you guys to be playing clean chords. So if we're doing this bend back on the knuckle, the chords might not come out as clean. So if we do the rainbow, we're playing cleaner chords. All right. In our first song, used C, F, and G. Cool. So, any questions or anything like that on week number 1 to Ukulele 101? And do you guys have anything to add?
I think people start off they think that they have to lay their they have to bend their knuckle.
Yeah.
Because they have to use the pad of their finger when it's really supposed to be
just the fingertips. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. So that's one thing that we made clear is that using your fingertips instead of the pads of your fingers. So if you're using the pad of your fingers, then of course it's going to bend down like this. So you're not actually using the pad of your fingers, you're using your fingertips. So because I'm using my fingertips, that's, that kind of naturally lets me have that rainbow or that arc or arch that I'm looking for in order to play my chords. All right? Because if I were to use the pads of my fingers, yes, they will bend down like so. You're right, Kahai. That's a great point.
Well, I think it's even like it's a good habit to build when you're starting off, like using the tips of your fingers. Even when you transition to harder chords like E and D, you're still using that concept of like you lay your finger down, the tip of your finger at the highest string, you're using that, and you don't go any further. And I think, that it seems like that's why like we get a lot of people sending in questions or stuff saying, oh, it doesn't sound right, and then it's like they're overextending their finger, like they're using too much of their finger, more than they need to.
Yeah, because I hear, I hear that excuse all the time where like, oh, my fingers are too short and they don't reach this and they don't reach that. My fingers can't do the pinky mute. It's like, if your fingers are smaller than this, like, because that's the width of your ukulele, right? And that's what that's the amount of space your pinky should be occupying in your ukulele. So if you feel that your fingers are smaller than this, then I mean,
even then, there are ways to do it.
Exactly, without it. I mean, I'm not mocking people's fingers or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure we grow a little bit longer than this as far as our pinky fingers.
We've seen little kids with even tinier fingers who do amazing things on ukulele.
We've seen kids from Korea who do amazing things, and they have like their pinky fingers are half the size of mine. So it is possible if if your form is good, then everything else is gonna come along nicely. So that's kind of what we wanted to stress on week number 1, is to have good form, and just kind of teaching you how to hold your ukulele properly, how to properly position your left and your right hand, and everything will pretty much follow through from the beginning form. Okay, so if you have good form in the beginning, everything else is gonna come. Right.
I understand people who say that, like they're like, oh, my fingers are too small, but it also seems like it's like the Goldilocks thing. People say like, "Oh, my fingers are too small," or like,
or too
large.
My
fingers are too big.
And
then it's like, well, we send them videos of the Super Nino, right? Like when they say that. When people say like, "Oh, my fingers are too small," that's kind of like we should make like an oversized ukulele. Just like play that, right?
I think we did, right? For one of the April Fool's jokes that we did. We made a super wide neck uke.
You made
not necessary.
No, it's not. So you guys want to keep this in mind when you're doing your chords. Hold it just like that. Use the arch. Use the tip of your fingers. Don't use the pads. And it'll just be good. Like as you play harder chords, you might want to like tweak it a little bit so that you're playing those harder tunes. But for the most part, if you're watching 101, I'm guessing you're in the beginner to intermediate level, and you're not even going to be using those hard chords that you would need to hold it a different way for. So for now, start off with this particular way of holding your chords, all right? And everything else will follow from there. Okay? No questions on 101 or? Oh, and this too, holding it properly,
thing, that's like huge. Like I think that solves like a lot of people's problems. Like they don't realize like that's what's causing them to have a hard time holding the chord.
Yep.
Because if you do that, you don't have to squeeze the neck as hard. Like it's less about squeezing.
Right. Yeah, we covered that too. As in, like you only really need this amount of pressure, only enough pressure so that you can hold the ukulele in place. You're not full on like putting down your ukulele and just squeezing down so that it goes as hard as it can. Clamping. It's not, or like in the back too.
They're using their thumb
in the back, and they're going like this. So that's kind of where we not fail to to explain, but that's one thing that we didn't we didn't get to, or we didn't quite we weren't as descriptive when we did Ukulele 101 the first time around. So this time when we did Ukulele 101, we really wanted to be descriptive with stuff so that we give you guys a nice foundation, and that foundation is going to be solid. All right, so this time we got it. The formula is a lot better this time.
I think that's something that most people figure out, but it's just like to make it so you guys don't
Right.
have to figure it out.
Because just starting out with with good form goes a long way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions from the live chat there?
No.
People from YouTube's, I know they're just, a lot of them are saying hi.
Yeah.
But cool, thank you guys for tuning in though.
And then if you guys have and then we're gonna do like kind of just anything goes Q&A at the very end.
Yeah. Q&A, anything goes right at the end, and that's going to be, so we're just going to transition nicely into our live lesson Thursdays. So here on Ukulele Underground Plus, so if you have a Plus membership, we do a live show every Thursday, just kind of a Q&A, just to get some questions in and see what we can answer for you folks. All right. So anybody having a hard time, UU Plus students are allowed to ask us anything that they want on Thursdays. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to week number 2. So week number 2, this is a lot of fun for me. Okay, I like to train my ear a lot, and training your ear goes a long way, because back then when I was starting out with the ukulele, like, the internet wasn't there. I mean, I'm probably giving away, how old I am, but there was no internet. You couldn't just go and Google like, oh, how do you play whatever Under the Boardwalk by whatever, and nowadays you can just Google that up and the chords would be there for you. Back then we didn't have that luxury, so we would have to figure out the chords on our own. So I don't want that art to be lost. I don't want the art of figuring things out by ear to be lost. So just like how starting off with good form leads to better form, if you train your ear in the beginning, your ear will just get better and better and better. So the very basics of ear training is to tune by ear. So if your ukulele is in tune, using your ear, it actually goes a long way. All right, because you're gonna learn how to identify right and wrong notes. So if you're jamming with somebody and you play maybe a sour note, you're gonna know that it's a sour note. There's have you guys seen Whiplash before? Have you seen that Whiplash? Have you seen Whiplash? It's like there's a scene where he goes like, oh, I don't know what's worse, is you playing flat or you not knowing that you're playing flat, So that's one of those things that, like, it's good to know this stuff and to train your ear pretty early on, so that later on when you're jamming other people, you'll know if you're playing a sour note or if someone else playing a sour note, or if someone's flat or sharp. You're able to identify that early on. So tuning by ear, we used strings in relative to being in tune. So we took maybe just like one string that was in tune, and then we just there's our off tune ukulele. But if our A string is in tune, we can use that. So this lets me know that this string right here is flat, so it has to go up. So that's in tune.
Which you're tuning your E string right now.
Yeah, my A string is in tune, but E string is not in tune. So now that my E and my A strings are in tune, I can tune the rest, my G to either my E or my A. So my A is this is the A note. That's sharp, so I'm gonna go down. Perfect. So now my G, E, and A are in tune. My C, I still don't want to play off tune like that. I'm gonna use my E string this time. And use that as a reference. Sounds a little bit higher, so I'm gonna tune it down also. Stay a little bit sharp. Now one down, a little bit up. There we go. Now I have a nicely tuned ukulele. All right, so tuning by ear, training that ear to hear flat, sharp, anything like that is really, really, really important. And it's not just to tune your ukulele, but later on, when you don't have access to the chords, like you can kind of hear, you're like, okay, that chord sounds like this, sounds like a C chord, sounds like F, G, whatever it may be, and it kind of helps you later on to be able to follow along or to figure things out. Yeah, and it's good because that's kind of how I trained my ear. I started out with tuning my ukulele by ear, and I've talked about it at length in different places, but when I first started out, I would just put like CDs and CD players or tapes and tape players, and I would just kind of listen to them over and over again and play along, with those tracks, CDs and stuff. And the first thing that you have to do, because you can't play along to the CD unless you're tuned to the CD, I would know what chord that they're playing first. Be like, okay, that is a G chord. So if I play my G chord and that sounds different from their G chord, so I now have to tune my ukulele accordingly, according to the CD that's playing. So I'd be like, okay, it's a little bit higher, so I'm gonna tune my ukulele higher. I'm going to tune it again. So when I play my G chord against theirs, it's going to be the same. I'm set for the rest of the album. And that's kind of how I figure things out. So training my ear early on is great. Okay, it's going to help you out a lot in the long run. So Ukulele 101 is all about the building blocks of ukulele. So we want to give you guys a nice foundation so that later on you're able to basically play anything on our website. All right? So any questions so far?
A while back, when you're showing the week one, Marine asked if you can show where your thumb is on the back of the fretboard. And I was saying that it's different for each chord.
Yeah.
But in general, where do you want to keep your thumb, or
just anywhere comfortable, to be honest with you, because you don't even have to use your thumb for all the chords. We talked about using the chords to kind of as leverage to help it keep our ukulele in place. If we're playing a C chord, you don't necessarily have to use your thumb. You can just do that. But it is a little bit unstable, so I just want to rest. See this little curve right here? I can use that to kind of I can put it right where the neck is. It's got a nice little place right here, and use my C chord. You don't have to do it right there. You can use your thumb to kind of hold it in place, because the only force is pulling it back, right? So if we use our thumb, not to pinch it, but just to kind of guide it right in the back like this. You can kind of see where my hand is. So my thumb there. So it's right here, not to push it forward, but to just keep it in place. You can just almost just touch the back and you're fine. You don't even have to push with the thumbs. Hold it there to keep your ukulele in place, and that's your C chord. So this is something that I didn't go over. There is a slight use of my pointer finger, this part of my pointer finger right here. I like to rest my ukulele on this part of my pointer finger as well. Okay, so this part of my pointer finger, if we were to play C chord, my thumb is just kind of holding it in the back here, and notice how it sits, the neck part sits on my pointer finger like so. And what that does, it's kind of like, what we talked about in week 5 or week 4 of finger picking, using my pinky finger to just kind of anchor, and that helps to keep my hand steady. This part of my pointer finger helps anchor the ukulele's neck so that it keeps everything else steady. So when I play my F chord, since I'm curving my fingers, this kind of gets pushed up here, so I'm holding it a little bit down here almost on the bottom knuckle of my pointer finger. So that's just some things to keep in mind. It does touch the neck part of my ukulele like this. So that's something that's not a lot of people really talk about, but it's very helpful. So use this entire part right here, and you just want to move it depending on what chord you're playing. You want to move this part around. So if I'm playing a G chord, for example, still resting on that knuckle, playing the G chord, the thumb can either go up here or back here, wherever you feel comfortable with. For the G chord, I pretty much like to wrap my thumb around it like this. And what that does is it kind of helps me keep that. Remember I said I want you to have that natural, almost like fist making curve. So if I'm playing my G chord, that's like my air G chord right there. See the G without me putting it, on my ukulele. You can kind of see the G, right? So my my knuckle on my finger right here rests there, and it goes down. And then the rest of my thumb, so you can see it here. From here, just kind of goes around, it wraps around it. So when I take this off, it looks like this. So it's kind of just like my hands making this natural curve like this, like a fist curve, yeah. Okay.
I use that like pretty much that hand.
Yeah.
I don't know, position or whatever, like resting it on that first knuckle.
Yeah.
I use that for like all the chords in that first position, like C, F, A, A minor, G, F.
Very useful. I mean, not a lot of people like bring that up. It's because we always think about the thumb supporting it and kind of this part, but it actually goes all the way up here.
I would say like,
so my pointer finger down to the thumb. This entire area is what you would use to kind of support it here.
Yeah, and most people say like, oh, put it at the put your thumb in the back of your neck, and you can do that for those first chords. But like, I use that more when I'm going farther down the neck. That you can't necessarily
the neck right here. Yeah. So especially like Kahai was saying, especially the first position chords. When you're playing chords down here on maybe the first 4 or 5 frets, your neck is right here, and you can kind of use this side or that knuckle to rest on the neck while you hold things in there. Yeah. So it's kind of like I said, using your pinky finger, keeping your fingers steady to do finger picking. You can rest it there to keep your fingers. See, I have my fingers moving around. So it doesn't move, because if you don't rest it there, and your fingers are kind of free, it might move, or it might be a little bit out of place. It's not steady. So keep it steady by using that.
Your neck might drop.
Yeah, it might drop or whatever. So this is keeping it steady right here. And then playing your chord, using your thumb. It doesn't have to be back here, but you can use your thumb to kind of wrap around in a nice, natural manner, kind of like making a fist.
I think that's a comfort thing too. And, I know if I played with my thumb behind the neck, like my hands would naturally start to kind of tighten up and cramp up. So it's just it's almost something like the more you play, you'll figure it out, and it's like you get lazier and it just becomes easier. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna push so much pressure with my thumb.
Right. So as far as the chords that we learned for week number 2, we gave you guys 2 minor chords, all right? Because that also goes with your ear training, because you were playing 3 major chords the week before, C, F, and G. I want you guys to know or to hear the noticeable difference between major and minor chords. So we introduced A minor, D minor for that reason. So we want you guys to distinguish between major and minor pretty early on. All right, so any questions on week number 2 so far? Any questions at all?
Just gotta wait a little bit for the chat to catch up.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so that's what week number 1 is. Pretty much the most important week. That was the one that I was the most nervous for. I'm like, what if I missed something, or what if I explain it wrong or whatever? Because that is the basic and the basis and the foundation of playing ukulele is that week number 1 ukulele 101. Yeah, and
we hear people who do miss it, and then they come back and they relearn it.
Yeah,
and it's fine. They do good, but it does take a little bit more time to, if you learned it a certain way, and then to come back
to relearn it.
Well, you kind of have to break that habit.
Right. So we want to start you off with good habits. We want to start you guys off playing things correctly, or to have correct form, because like what Kai was saying, it's a lot harder to correct a wrong form than to start off with good form.
It's just a little bit harder, like
Yeah.
getting back to
Yeah,
basics.
especially if you're playing for like a long time, like years, kind, you know,
Yeah.
and you're going back and learning it this way. It's a little bit difficult.
We've had people who like who say like, oh, I'm a guitarist and I play
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I want to play it like guitar, and it's like
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's
it's a little
different.
different. There's some things like you
Yeah.
just kind of have to. You can't use your whole arm to strum. You know, it's more of a wrist thing. Those little things, like it kind of makes a difference.
Yeah.
And it's just good if you get off on the right foot right from the start. So, yeah.
Cool. So, week number 2 was nice and simple, but it had a lot of content for you guys to think about. It's mostly a thinking thing, like, and hearing the differences and hearing the difference between, a flat note or a sharp note or a note that's in tune, and also major and minor chords. So very, very, very important. That's why we wanted that to be week number 2. And, it helps to have your ukulele in tune, right? So if you're playing with other people, you might now want to be flat or sharp, or just not be flat or sharp in general. Yeah? Okay.
Like before we move on, I know Leanne was saying that she always heard about tuning with your ear.
Yeah.
But she never knew a good reason to do it. So like when you said like it just helps you in the future.
Yeah.
Like she wants to do it more. So like what is the reason for like figuring out the difference between minors and majors, like right at this point,
Well, at this point, because you're training your ear to hear sharp and flats and in tune. When when you train your ear to hear major and minor chords, then you'll know when you're playing with a group and you're not quite sure what the chords are. If it's if you're in the key of C, for example, they're like, oh, we're in the key of C, and it sounds minor or it sounds major, then it'll be a lot easier for you to figure out or to jump in. Or even if you don't know that much, where like, oh, I don't know what the chords are in the key of C, or I don't even know what key of C means, you'll at least have have an idea of what chord you can jump in. All right, so when you hear the chord and you have like a minor sounding chord, you're not going to be, it tells you to not play C or F or G on on that chord that sounds like a minor chord, yeah, or you're not going to be playing A minor or D minor on a chord that sounds major, because you've trained your ear to hear the difference. So you want to jump in at the appropriate time, or you want to be playing the right notes along with the people that you're jamming with.
So it's just kind of helping you get more used to playing with other people.
Yeah,
figuring out where you fit.
Right. Because distinguishing between those two at this point is not like it's it's not a hard. It's not very hard to hear the difference between major and minor. Minor is going to always sound sad and like those it invokes those kind of feelings, where major, it's more happy. So just knowing the difference between hearing a happy sounding chord and a gloomy or sad sounding chord is gonna pay off a lot in the long run.
I know there's musicians in Hawaii who like they don't know like any theory, like they wouldn't even know the name of chords. But if you start playing, they can play along with you because
their ear
at ear training. So it's almost building up more that musicianship side.
Yeah.
Like trying to build that up. Yeah.
Because I mean, like when you guys first learn, you guys just learn chords and just whatever sounded like that, you would just do it. But now, if we tell them that, like, well, this is a major chord and this is what a minor chord sounds like, it kind of expedites, that skill.
Well, and I think really practicing that skill, like, I mean, I was like forced to do it, but if you're kind of consciously doing it, it's like you'll be thinking about it more, right, and trying to do it more. So it's good.
Yeah, it's good to know the difference. Okay, should we move on? Questions?
Kenny was saying music theory and the circle of fifths was helpful with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but like you want to build up that ear training.
Yeah.
To like, it's hard to always rely on music theory. So it's good to have that fallback.
Yeah, and and some people like are turned off, by music theory, because there's a lot of like math and figuring stuff out. Like some people just want to play. So if you're one of those people that just want to play, training your ear is a good, is a good way to know what note sounds good, what note sounds bad. If your ear knows the difference between a good note and a bad note, you could be like the Beatles, who didn't need the music theory. Beatles didn't know music theory. That's like a fun fact. So it's because their ears were so good. They were playing a lot of music for a long time. They know the difference between a good note and a bad note. So those are some things as well.
And sometimes you don't, or they didn't know the difference, and they just slipped that note in there anyways.
Anyway, yeah. And it made it sound good.
Yeah, it sounds good now. So
yeah. So moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. So in week number 3, we focused on rhythm patterns. All right. So we were talking about quarter notes and eighth notes, all right? And we worked on our right hand and about missing the strums and hand moving but not playing. And we also learned how to make up our own strumming patterns. Because we learned about rhythm, we learned how to make strumming patterns. So here on Ukulele Underground, our monthly lessons especially are pretty much broken down into strumming patterns, chords, and picking pattern. So strumming pattern, it's something that we just, is a suggested thing that we have. So here's a suggested strumming pattern for this song. But as if you guys ever got to check out our Aloha Friday Live Jams, on Aloha Friday Live Jam, I give you guys a strumming pattern. And I also explain that you can do whatever you want as long as you're in rhythm with us. Okay, so because of this rhythm training, week number 3, we want to kind of show you guys how to strum anything, all right? So if you know the beat to that song that you're playing, you can just play quarter notes and you can still play that too. You don't have to do the roll, chunk up, down, up, or whatever, all that, all that crazy complicated stuff. If you don't want to overcomplicate yourself, you can always just strum your ukulele to the beat of the song, and that's going to be the quarter notes. If you want to do the down and up beat of a song, like a down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, you can use eighth notes to play anything or to strum anything. So quarter notes and eighth notes are like the building blocks of rhythm on our ukulele. Of course, there are more complicated notes like 16th notes and 32nd notes, but for the most part, this is basically all you need. All you need is to learn how to play quarter notes and eighth notes on the ukulele, and you can pretty much strum anything. Okay, you can make up your own strumming patterns and figure out strumming patterns for your favorite songs by just doing quarter notes and eighth notes. So already by week 3, you should know how to hold your ukulele. You should be able to tune your ukulele, and you should be able to to strum your ukulele properly. All right, and get a nice steady rhythm. I think our what we emphasized in this lesson is to have steady rhythm. I think we talked about the pendulum and about how the pendulum kind of goes left and right and back and forth, and it never goes to to one place twice. So by breaking it down quarter notes and eighth note wise, we get that nice pendulum. So even though our hand is moving, sometimes it doesn't hit anything. So for example, we have maybe instead of a down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, we can skip that first up strum. So we would have down, down, up, down, up, down, up. So we're changing up the rhythm, but I'm not changing up my hand movements. It's still going down, up, just like a pendulum. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. All right, so we want to be able to keep a steady rhythm, and how we're going to do that is just keeping a steady movement with our right hand as we strum. So down. So hand moving, but not playing. Okay, it's very, very, very important. Any questions on that? So important because our website relies heavily on on patterns, strumming pattern, picking patterns, and chord progressions and stuff like that. So if you wanna learn stuff that's on the site, then learning how to do strumming patterns, that should be number 1.
Devin just asked, do you have any good exercises to help faster chord changes? I sometimes miss the beat because I'm not fast enough between chords.
Okay, very good question, and it actually ties in with week number three. I was gonna say tree. Week number 3. So week number 3, we talked about 8 notes, and that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Most of the time, the chord changes happen on the downbeat. I want to say, like a good amount of the time, if not all the time, the changes happen on the downbeat. So because the changes happen on the downbeat, that means you can use the upbeat, or in that 8th note, because 8th note gives you that upbeat, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you can use the 8th beat or the upbeat right before the change to let go of the chord and then do an air chord and then land that air chord down to the appropriate place. So for example, if I'm playing C to F, so I would do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and so I'm letting that C chord go and just playing an open chord for that upbeat before the 1 or before that downbeat we change, and then right at the top my F chord right here, you can already see it forming, and then down with the F chord. So, and then right here, my C chord is already in place. Or a more obvious one, maybe my G chord. So I'm gonna lift up. See how I formed my G chord before then, and then going down like this. Okay, also a trick that I've learned. There's actually only there's less than 10 chord shapes. Okay, that's something that people don't want to tell you. There's like a lot of chords and stuff, but there's less than 10 basic chord shapes. So if you learn those chord shapes, you can pretty much play any chord. Okay, and I'm saying this quietly because it's a secret. It's a secret. Don't tell people. There's less than 10. You got this chord shape, which is that kind of C. You have this G chord shape. You have this B flat chord shape. And that's pretty much it for, oh no, this one. Right? But this is the same thing as that, but you're just adding one note. So those are, the chord shapes for major chords. And in minor chords, you have this one, you have this one, and you have this shape. And you can move it up and down. It doesn't, and it's basically the same thing. So if you learn those chord shapes, when you're doing your air chords, your fingers will know how to contour itself within those, less than 10 chord shapes. So if you learn those chord shapes, then you'll be able to switch from chord to chord a lot easier. And then you can utilize the upbeats and then switch on the downbeat in order to switch faster. Okay, so hopefully that helps.
You just said switch on the upbeat or
oh no, let go on the upbeat, switch on the downbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you've also said if you need even more time, you can do the downbeat of 4 and then get to 1 too.
That's
right?
true.
So if, that I think that open chord, people think they're scared of it, or they're like, oh, but it's not part of the song.
Yeah, you listen to any professional ukulele player, we all use it. If you watch them play, you're gonna see them lift their hands off the fretboard and then back down. So the moment that they lift their hands off the fretboard, that's going to be an open chord. Yeah. So it's never it's pretty hard to go from C to F. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. It's it almost doesn't sound good. There needs to be some kind of movement from one chord to the other, and that bridge is going to be your open chord. And that kind of bridges the gap between those two.
Well, it's like a breath before.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just kind of sounds mumbled, right?
Yeah.
You're going.
And it sounds rushed too. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's for any string instrument is understanding lifting up and then putting back down to add that. Okay, there's a pause right now before there's something else.
Any other questions before we move on?
There is a question, but I think we'll get to that at the very end probably.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Sounds good. Here we go. So week Number 4, we get a little bit more complicated with with some stuff, and we work on our right hand. So we worked on rolls and how to utilize a roll. This time, we gave you guys the thing that's new for the 2017 version of 101 is that we showed you guys a kind of staircase and a nice little like wave pattern kind of movement with the roll. So if you were to do this kind of staircase on your with your hands, the roll comes a little bit more natural. Okay, so. Okay, the more you exaggerate it, the longer the roll is. So you can have a really short roll, or you can do a really long roll. Okay, we showed you guys the exact movements that you need to do in order to to get into a good position to do the roll. Like it starts off with looking at your nails like this, then you're using that kind of staircase to just go down and with pointing down to the ground. Okay, like this. You're just flicking off a bug off your strings. So imagine there's a little ladybug or something that flew on your string. You're like, oh no, shoot, 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 shoot. Okay, very important. Don't overuse it though. A lot of people watch like the Ukulele on the ground like tutorials, and we used to add a lot of chunks and rolls and stuff. I've tried to stay away a little bit from adding too much chunks and rolls nowadays because people tend to be like, oh well, I can't chunk, and they just kind of chunk everything afterwards. So chunk and rolls are not the solution to everything. You have to know when to add these little things these techniques that we have with our right hand. Okay, and also finger picking pattern. We did into out picking, and we also covered a little bit of the reverse, the out to in picking. But we took the finger picking stuff and we paired it up with the lesson before. How we talked about quarter notes and eighth notes. So we paired those up with quarter notes and eighth notes so that we know how to properly use finger picking patterns, because we're using finger picking patterns as our rhythm patterns to our playing, and almost like in place of strumming patterns. So we're using that, instead. We're using those instead.
So it's the same rhythm, but instead of strumming, just picking. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think some people overlook the rolls because they're like, oh, I don't like rolling, or I don't like how it sounds. I'm not gonna learn it. And it's okay to like play a down strum instead. Yeah. But then it also I think people shouldn't overlook the roll if they want to learn things like the chunk, because it leads into the chunk.
Leads into it. Yep.
And we haven't gone over the chunk, but it is like something that, like, if you want to learn other techniques, you might want to learn the roll first, because it definitely
and that's the first kind of natural movement if you're doing the down up strum properly. It's just kind of comes as natural to do the roll. It's like the natural progression of that roll.
And then we the other week on live lesson we were talking about like triplet of strums and other types of rolls and all these other things, and all of that stem from that basic roll, right? First.
Yep. So it's if you have good form, everything else will follow.
Yeah. Or at least it makes it easier. It's not like you need to. I want to learn how to play this. Now I got to go back and learn the roll again. It's like if you start off with a good roll, it'll get you really far. Yeah.
Anything to add, Aaron? You've been quiet for for a while. No.
I feel kind of bad. People have to listen to my raspy voice, my raspy sick voice. Maureen asked, do you still have an open chord for in between an F and D minor?
You can just add the ring finger in there, but just for effect, I like to lift up and then putting it on there, because if I'm doing the air chord, you know, for D minor, it's pretty close to my F chord anyway. So it's not like I'm doing anything different. Or you can. So it's the same thing, but for myself, just to, you know, keep it going, and like how Kai said, it's like a breath in between, you know, in between the two chords. I like to put it in there anyway. Sometimes not, but most of the time I will lift up, do an open chord to the D minor.
That open chord helps me to feel the rhythm too. Like it helps me get back on rhythms, like where it's like, oh, like I don't know, you feel that upbeat, and then you can feel that down like really hard. Yeah. Sometimes if you just do like you're just adding a finger or taking away a finger, like with D and F. Yeah. Like you can't feel it as much, or you don't. Yeah, you can't feel the beat as much. I feel like.
Yeah, we also covered in finger picking to, you know, a lot of people make the, not mistake, but, you know, they just like to finger pick kind of like this, like free. Another thing that we introduced this time is to use the pinky finger to kind of anchor down on your ukulele like this. You know, don't make it too stiff or whatever. You don't want to hurt yourself either. Just enough so that it's planted down and it keeps your hands steady, like so. So when you do your into-out picking patterns, it stays in place. And it's not like it's easy to kind of move your hand up and down or out of place if you don't use an anchor. So you're using your pinky finger to anchor, because you don't really use your pinky finger to finger pick, because we have 4 fingers already, and we only have 4 strings, so we don't really need that much. Most of the time, you only use 3 anyway. So using your pinky finger to help, you know, keep your balance is kind of like using this part of your pointer finger on your left hand to keep your balance on playing chords. Okay, so on the chords, it's right here, and then using my thumb to kind of just hold it in place. So kind of like that, using my pinky finger, holding it in place. Okay. So that's something new that we kind of added here to 2017's 101.
That's something that a lot of professionals do, right? Like if you can, Clay and
everybody, yeah, Clay, Jake uses it. You know, I know maybe not James, but I think I've seen him. You know, I've seen him use that as well. But I know James does a lot of like free form kind of finger picking. So, but a lot of especially, you know, guys from Hawaii will be using their pinky fingers.
I think Taimane, right?
Taimane, yeah, definitely, yeah.
She uses it, so yeah.
So it's a good skill to have, to just keep your hand steady, your right hand steady when you're doing finger picking patterns. Yep. Okay. Anything else? Oh, also we introduced G7 and C7. So same thing. We're trying to you know, teach you guys how to hear these different kinds of chords. So we had major chords, then we had minor chords. Now we have 7 chords, which sounds like, you know, it sounds like it needs a resolution. You know, like for example, that's G7. So if we just kind of ended it there, you're like, don't you want to go to that C? So like, nah. It wants to go somewhere. It wants to do. So whenever you hear a note that, you know, has that needs resolution, that's most likely going to be a 7 chord. So G7 and C7 is the chords that we learned for week number 4 to help you out with that. Okay.
That was like I don't know if we went over it, but like you'll find those chords in Hawaiian blues. So like a lot of those types of music, and if you're into it, like you should definitely look into those chords more. 7 chords.
7 chords, yeah.
Jazz, swing music. Yeah.
Cool. Any questions on week number 4?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. So last but not least, week number 5 is playing with others. I know, you know, the whole time we're just kind of prepping you so that, like, you know, you have all these tools. You know how to hold your ukulele. You know how to play, you know, a few chords. You know how to tune your ukulele using your ear. You know how to finger pick your ukulele. You know how to do rolls at this point. So you're at the verge of of being what some people would consider an intermediate ukulele player at this point. If you know how to do all those things and you know how to do them well, you're a solid beginner and on a good path to being an intermediate ukulele player. So to be honest with you, at the end of Ukulele 101, you will be an intermediate ukulele player at the end of Ukulele 101, because at the end of Ukulele 101, you're able to play your ukulele, strum your ukulele, pick your ukulele, and you can follow all the tutorials that we have here on Ukulele Underground as far as songs goes. So on the monthly lessons, we have the strumming pattern, we have the chord patterns, with the finger picking pattern or the picking pattern on the songs. And after week 10 of Ukulele 101, you should be able to play whatever song that you want on our song library. All right. So simultaneous playing. You can play the same chords, same strumming pattern, and it'll sound good. Why? Because it's all the same. Why shouldn't it sound good? If we're playing the same exact thing, it should sound good, right? As long as it's in tune, it should sound good. And but playing something different has a lot of advantages. Okay, so making a different, maybe a different rhythm pattern. So some person might just be doing the quarter notes while you're doing the eighth notes. It was I loved it actually. Last time, was it last week that we did that? It was last week, right? So last week we did week number 5. Aaron was playing the background ukulele. I was playing the second part, and then these parts kind of came together, and it gave a lot more color to the song. And what I mean by that is that if you're playing the same thing, with the same rhythm, with the same chord, you're pretty much just playing it black and white, So to have more colors to paint a better picture, you might want to change things up and have different parts, okay? But we talked about how to keep things the same, though, like although you're playing a different part, you're not doing, you're not doing the rhythm too differently, that it's a totally different song. We kind of teach you guys how to keep it the same as well. All right. So we did like basic picking. We showed you guys how to do free strokes and rest strokes, and how to use arpeggios, and all of those things stem from the rhythm patterns of quarter notes and eighth notes. So if because you can strum quarter note and eighth notes, when you pick quarter notes and eighth notes, it should blend together nicely. So playing with others, quite important. So at this halfway point, you should be able to play your ukulele, to pick a little bit, and and to pick and play with someone with someone else. All right. So if someone's playing your favorite song or whatever, you should be able to play along with that. Maybe do a little bit of finger picking here and there to add some color to what they're doing. But at this point, that's a solid beginner already. You should. The only thing is maybe you learn more chords so that you're familiar with different chord shapes and more chords. And you know what? That's going to be on the next episode. It's going to be chords. We're going to be going over some bar chords, some new chords, and then even more chords. So because you know how to how to play your ukulele, how to finger pick, a little bit of basic picking, how to hold it, and how to do rolls. If we add more chords for you folks, you should be able to play a big chunk of our monthly lesson library, even some of our whiteboard requests library. So you can play a bunch of different songs. So as a beginner, after 5-6 weeks of Ukulele 101, you should be able to do all those things already. Yeah, so this is like a fast track. So watching Ukulele 101 is a fast track of getting all the basics and getting ready for the real world of ukulele.
I think that you might go check out after week 101 or after week 101.
Yeah.
After 101,
Yeah.
you might go check out the library and check out intermediate songs, and you might
Yeah.
be like, I'm having problems with this or this.
Mm-hmm.
But then it you'll start to get how to learn the song, even with it's like, oh, how do you do the 5-finger roll? And then it's then you can just figure out from there. You know, we're setting the foundation.
Yeah.
For you learning.
Yeah.
On your own.
Because I mean, like, in order to play those songs, you don't necessarily have to do like all the picking patterns and picking parts and stuff. You can just play the song by just playing the chords and and strumming the rhythm pattern for it. You can play along with the play along that we have here on Ukulele Underground by just learning all the stuff that you'll learn here on Ukulele 101. Towards by the end of this, you should be able to play at least strum and play the chords to those songs. Okay, but we are going to be covering more chords like bar chords and stuff. A lot of people have a hard time with that, so I'm going to be explaining the best ways and different little tricks to hold those kinds of chords. Yeah. So any questions or any comments on week number 5?
Oh, I think it was. Let me see. Alan said that last week recording yourself, like the tip on recording yourself.
Oh yeah.
With yourself was a big help. So.
Yeah, so I explained how you can take your phone or any kind of recording device. You can use your computer, anything like that, to record yourself playing and to play over it. So you just kind of play along. So even though we're emphasizing on playing with others, you can still get the same results just as a soloist, or if you're playing by yourself. You can record it and you can play along with it so that you're not missing out on anything. Yeah. It's good because that's kind of how I've been, like teaching a lot of my private students nowadays to practice, because it helps them keep a steady rhythm, and then it also helps them to follow a steady rhythm. So if they're playing by themselves, they can play steady. If they're playing with someone else, they're still able to play steady.
Yeah.
And that's why it's great.
Recording yourself makes you 10 times more conscious of every mistake you made,
right.
Or it's I messed up on that chunk or whatever too, so.
Yeah, and you can hear everything. You can, when you do the playback, you're gonna be able to hear all the mistakes, but also all the good things. And you know what? Even the mistakes are good things. So now you know that you're messing up someplace. You know what you need to change. You know what you need to fix, and therefore making you a better player.
It's funny because our EU Plus members will send in videos of themselves, and they'll be like, oh, I know I did this wrong, or I did this, and we watch the video and it's like, oh, you could do better, but you're doing really good.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are their harshest critics, which is kind of a good thing. It makes you a better player. Yeah. You find what you're doing wrong and you get better at it. So.
All right, cool. So like I mentioned, on the next episode, we are going to be covering a lot of chords. So if you come back next week for Ukulele 101, this would be actually official week number 6 of lessons. This is week 6. This time around is Q&A, but the official week 6 is going to be next week for, or should we just call it week 7?
Yeah, I think we're just gonna label it week 7.
Week 7. All
Let's
right,
not confuse people.
All right. So week number 7 is going to be bar chords, new chords, and more chords. So we get tons and tons and tons of emails, asking oh, how do I hold this? Am I holding this correctly? Blah 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 blah. This is the episode to watch if you're wondering about all that stuff. Okay. And let's see. Any more questions on that? And of course, week number 5, we do. I guess. Yeah, week number 5. We do have a homework, for you folks with week number 5. So hope you guys are having fun with that. The week number 5 homework was to record yourself and kind of play along, with the recording that that you have. So it's. Oh, I guess we don't have that slide. So that's week 5 homework for week number 7. So week number 7, we want to be taking a look at what you guys did. We're going to be doing some new chords. All right. So Thursday live lesson. So now that we've done the Q&A and the review on the first 5 weeks of Ukulele Underground 101, we want to be able to open it up for any kind of discussion. So you might be experimenting with something that's beyond Ukulele 101. This is the time to have it. So now that we're done with the review, let's open it up for open discussion. So hit me.
This was I gotta find who said it, but somebody was asking what would you suggest sitting on when playing? Like they said, like a straight up chair or like what?
Right there. It says, do you recommend there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Steve asked, do you recommend sitting in an upright chair versus a cushy recliner when practicing?
You know what? Honestly, it's anything. There's no like proper chair. Like, oh, I gotta sit on my ukulele chair to practice my ukulele. It can be anything, and I would suggest practicing anywhere. It could be like because it's not like a band instrument where like you have to sit up straight and like your posture when playing the clarinet is gonna help you with the breathing and all that stuff. But your embouchure is going to be is going to be a certain way. Playing the ukulele, it's it's very laid back in the sense that you can play this anywhere. A lot of the times when I was first starting off, I couldn't put the stuff down. Okay, I would play sitting down. I'd play laying on my couch. I'd play in my bed. Like I'm just kind of like lazily like laying back like this, and the ukulele sitting on my chest. I played it anywhere. I mean, TMI. Sometimes I played it in the bathroom. Like right before I brush my teeth, I'm just doing this with my ukulele down. It was like one of those cheap preludes. Do it really quick, pick it back up again, go back outside. It's like you couldn't separate me from my ukulele. So I would play this thing anywhere. So it doesn't, you don't need a special ukulele chair. But some people like that. Some people like to designate their ukulele playing into one place. But for me, starting out, you couldn't separate me from this thing. So, it might be good to practice good posture when you're playing, but at the same time, just try to relax. Keeping good posture might lead to being too stiff on your ukulele, so make sure that you don't forget to relax your hands, to just relax and to just play. Right?
Yoda said I practice picking in my comfy chair watching a show or a football game.
Yeah, there you go. That's one of those instruments that you can play anywhere at any time.
I think if you just kind of have it like everywhere with you, like playing it as much as you can just makes you get more comfortable with it. And makes you a better player overall. And
it's good because when you're say you're laying down or say you're kind of leaning back on the couch, it helps you to kind of adjust the way that you're holding your ukulele in accordingly to what you're doing. So if I'm laying down, I'm not going to be holding it the same way as as I were to hold it sitting up like this, or sitting down, like sitting down on a chair. Because if I'm laying down, I don't have to push this in, as much. But in order to kind of hold it steady, I still hold it kind of the same, but I'm doing little tweaks here and there. So by experimenting on different places, sitting down in different areas, laying down or whatever, you might find new ways to hold your ukulele more comfortably than you previously held it before. So, any other questions? So we also get questions, not just from the live chat, we also get questions on emails. We do have an Ukulele on the Ground Plus forum. So if you guys have ever been to the Ukulele on the Ground forums, we have a plus version of that where we, we take a look at that forum a lot more, if not exclusively. Like we look at the UU Plus forums and we pick out questions from there. And we try to answer it on the Thursday live lessons. So any questions from the forum or anything like that?
Yeah, we got a couple questions on the forum,
cool.
And we got a question here too. But
okay.
Do you want to take a YouTube question? Do we have a
sure? Do we have a YouTube question?
There was one. Somebody was saying how to take their ukulele playing to the next level. They've been playing for about a year, and they can strum any song and do some finger picking. But what can they do to still have fun and make it, something that they want to do?
Okay, so I mean, besides just picking the songs that you like, I would challenge myself to kind of learn the picking pattern or create my own picking patterns to some of those songs. So, for example, I'm playing like say "Wonderful Tonight" by Eric Clapton. We have a tutorial for that, and you can play the whole thing. You can play the strumming pattern, the chord pattern, and you can play the picking pattern to that. But on top of that, what you can also do is you can do you can just pick out the melody line. So that's that's not on the Ukulele Underground tutorial, but that's just me just kind of having fun with my instrument, like using my instrument to sing. Why? Because when you're singing notes, right? Why not use those notes and play those on your ukulele? So instead of singing a song, you can pick, on your ukulele, you can let your ukulele sing the song. So that's one of those, one of those things, and you can challenge yourself to do the picking and the chords at the same time. So if you're interested in something like that, please check out the deconstructing chord melodies here in Ukulele Underground, where we teach you how to pick out the melody to a song and adding the chords on top of it so that you have a nice so it sounds more like a ukulele solo arrangement. So that's one thing that you can do. If you've come to that point where like you can strum anything, you can pick stuff, you can and do that. If you want to get technical with the ukulele, I would suggest diving into some music theory, because the music theory is actually what's going to expand your playing. Another thing that you can do is you can start creating your own songs. So that's another music theory thing. So if you learn music theory, you're able to you're gonna learn what chords sound good together. So there's like chord families, and you can use chord families to like pick out chords that you can string together to make up your own song. So that's another thing too. So once when I was starting out and I came to a point where like I'm just playing these songs on the radio, of course I was having fun, but there also came a time where like I just maybe like I'll take a shot at writing a song. Your first few songs aren't always gonna sound great, but you know what? It's yours, and it makes it that much more fun. You don't have to sing about like anything in particular. You can sing about peanut butter if you like peanut butter, or sing whatever. It's just the main point is to have fun with the uke. Or you don't even have to sing anything. Just like I said, you can use your ukulele to sing, right? So if you know how to play simple chords like F, C, F, and G, I can do something like and just doing stuff like that, like just picking notes off of that C, F, G, it allows me to kind of make up a song. I just made up that that particular tune in using my ukulele, or or just play up the neck. Maybe you can do. All right, so as long as you're having fun with it, and there are many, many, many ways to have fun with your instrument. You can write songs, you can learn something new, you can go check out our huge library and learn anything from there. We got songs, on the monthly lessons, on the whiteboard requests, on the UU Plus solos. We have lots and lots and lots of ukulele songs that you can learn. Okay, and or try your hand at a new technique, maybe. So add a new technique to your repertoire. Like maybe do some slides. So and have fun with that. Or maybe do some bends. Or maybe do some tapping. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with the ukulele. I'm excited for you. Like at this point, you can do all these basic things, and it opens up the door to all these non-basic things that you can experiment with. Okay, so more power to you, buddy.
There's always like something new to learn too.
Yeah.
Like just today, you showed me a video, whatever called Pana, right? And he was doing like something where it's like, what the heck is he doing?
Exactly. I'm like, whoa, there's like this triple thing that he was doing with because he has a thumb pick where he just like up with his thumb pick and up with his pointer middle. So I don't know what I was like, oh my, I didn't think of it that way,
Yeah. To do a
the triplet like with all like ops. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to steal that one. Sounds good. Ledford is, that's how we learn, right? We learn from like different masters that came before us. So, and these masters are still around. They're still playing music. We can still learn new things from these masters. So,
we get a lot of people who join the site and then they say like, Oh, I just want to strum and play like a
Yeah.
few songs and stuff, and that is fun. Like
Yeah, that is fun. There's
that's
nothing wrong with that.
yeah, that's totally like if that's what you want to do, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of people, it's like natural to like learn that, and then they're like, okay, I want to learn some picking
move on to the
now.
next thing. Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, I got picking now. Like, how do I like improvise picking, or how do I, and like that's where you start coming up with your own things too.
So, it's not just a slogan for us. Like when we say if you want to take your ukulele playing to the next level, we actually mean that. So when, the people who are on the UU Plus chat right now know that like going from regular ukulele on the ground to ukulele on the ground plus is a huge step up for their ukulele playing level, because you can just strum and play and whatever, but if you want to go beyond that, then UU Plus is the way to go. That's not just a slogan for us. We actually take your ukulele playing to the next level.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting for us when they can get to that level where it's like, okay, I want to do my own thing now or something, because then that's where it's like you get to be creative with your own playing. And sometimes we get to see those people come back, and it's like, that is amazing what you did. Like that is really cool, and that's it's cool that you said that you learned from Ukulele Underground. We're always excited about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we do. We do want to help you guys to discover the fun in music, because once you learn all these things, you're not just learning it for that one particular song, all right? So you learn a new technique, for example, like I said, slides or hammer-ons or whatever, bends and stuff. You're learning it for that one song, yes, but that pertains to pretty much any other song that has that technique in it. So you're learning more and more and more, and you're taking your playing to the next level.
Yeah, I think we're always hoping that we're making people be excited about playing, and making people excited about keep going. It's a never-ending journey.
It's because I'm an ukulele player. That's why I have this high energy all the time. As I know you guys watch me during these videos and stuff, and I'm always like, "Hi, I'm Aldrin Guerrero." But this is anybody who knows me in person or has met me in person. This is actually how I am. And one of the reasons why is because I'm a uke player. I have fun with this instrument, and I'm able to kind of share that with you folks and my knowledge and stuff. And I love seeing other people have fun with the instrument. So it really is cool.
I think a lot of times just our conversations in the office is about music or other ukulele players or just whatever, because that's if we weren't doing this, we would still be
playing music. So something with music, anything.
For all of us in office. So.
Yeah. Cool. Any more questions? Let's take another. You have another YouTube question?
There was one about the difference between low G and high G.
Okay, so difference between low G and high G, it's pretty much in the name. Low G just means you have a G string that is tuned lower. So we have right here, we have an example here. So this is an ukulele with a low G, and it sounds like this. Where that top string G is tuned a little bit lower. So this is a high G. So same exact notes, G, C, E, A, but this one starts with a low G. So the difference is that with the low G, you can you can reach notes that are lower or beyond the C string that we have here. So for high G players, the C string is going to be your lowest note. Okay? But there are pros and cons to you doing low G or high G. And the pros, like I said, low G, it allows you to play lower notes. That some chords might sound more full because you have a wider variety of notes that are available to you. But for me, I like to use high G, one, because it's traditional. That's kind of how I learned. I like to use the techniques associated with the high G, so like that kind of high G string pull off. And I like to use my my high G as a ghost note. So later on, or if you check out some of our other videos, you're gonna learn that ghost notes are pretty important in keeping rhythm if you're playing, especially solo ukulele. Yeah, so there are, a lot of advantages, a lot of disadvantages, on one and the other.
We get that question a lot. And then the other question that kind of goes with it is can I still learn from your guys' site? Is it okay if I play low G and Can I still?
You can.
Like, what? Like 90% of our stuff you could
Yeah,
probably learn.
you
Like
can.
even more than that.
Yeah.
It really is not.
Because like a G chord is still going to be like a a G chord on either high G or low G. A C chord is still going to be the same. A D chord is going to be the same. It's just going to sound different, but it's the same same chord shape. You're going to be placing your fingers on the same on the same strings, on the same fret. So there's really no change other than every now and then we might use that, like I said, those techniques used for high G. But for the most part, same thing. Anything from our U+? We have anything from the forum?
Let's take a forum questions, I guess. Rob was asking about harmonies, two-note harmonies.
Okay.
And how do you figure out like how do you incorporate two-note harmonies?
Okay, so for two-note harmonies, you take a so here's the basic gist of it. You take a note, you do a melody line, and then you harmonize that melody line using a note either higher or lower. So for example, if if I were to do so that those notes can be played here on my E. So why I'm playing it on my E string is because it allows me to play my A string, which is higher. So if I want to play a harmonized note that is higher, I will go to to a higher string, which would be A. So I'll play it on my E, then play the harmonized note on the A. Now, here's where music theory comes in. So this is in the key of C, right? So if we're playing Mary Had a Little Lamb in C, and the first note is E, D, C, D, E, 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 okay? So now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the harmony that is a third up. So from here, we're gonna count 1, 2, 3. So this note is what I'm gonna use to harmonize this note, which can also be found here, right? Same note. Now watch if I play that note underneath it. Remember I said using that third. And you can figure out the third from here. So we have so this note next. So 1, 2, 3. So that would be that, and then harmonize with this. So eventually what it would sound like is so it's kind of like singing a song and then singing a song with somebody harmonizing you. Sometimes it sounds better, sometimes it sounds good just by itself. So it's all a matter of what you prefer. But I like to use harmonized picking patterns sometimes to just add more color to my playing. So that's how I would do it. You would pretty much find the harmonized note to that melody line and play it. You can also use a harmonized note lower, and same thing. Yeah, we have I think a uke minute, and we covered that also on I believe it was Ukulele 102 or 103. Yeah. Maybe even music theory.
Like Rob asked, like to build upon that, Rob asked about finding it quickly. Is there like tricks to kind of
okay, so if you find one, okay, so for example like that with Mary Had a Little Lamb, this note is going down. Okay, so I'm just going from this note to the next note down the scale to the next note down the scale. So here, if I have this note, then I'm just gonna go down to the next note on the scale, then the next note down the scale. So if this moves, that means my harmony line will move as well, and I'm gonna move in the same place. So if I'm gonna go down, my harmony note is gonna go down, but same key. So here's a key. So going down, down, up, 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 up. So same thing. Down, down, up, 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 up. So That's how I got that so quickly, because I'm just kind of playing those notes here, and if I'm going to go down, my harmony line is going to go down as well.
So a good way to do that quickly is to know like all the
scale,
notes.
yeah, and the notes and scale.
Like, and then not just in one position though, like.
But yeah, all the notes and all the strings.
So like all the way down the fretboard.
All the way down the fretboard. Yeah. So mastering your fretboard on Ukulele Underground Plus. Go check that out if you want to learn how to do things like that.
That's kind of like something where it's like you dedicate some time, like a little bit more time now, and then you get faster when you're actually using it. So yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what like Rob wanted was like maybe like a way to incorporate it into soloing or
so with that I like to use I like to use those if if I'm playing a picking that kind of repeats, like for example Mary Had a Little Lamb, I could play the first line with just and then you repeat it. Or there it is. I was like, I think I overshot it there. But it gives it kind of a different feel if you're going to repeat the melody line. So I like to use it in repeating melody lines. Sometimes I like to just use it because it sounds good harmonized. Yeah. So whenever a melody line sounds good harmonized, that's where you should add it. Okay. Anything else?
We had a question a while back. I think it was. Do you recommend any particular brand of ukulele strings?
Yes.
This is from Fred.
Yes, I do now. Now I do. Yes. Aquila has just come up with. Look at this. Aquila has just come out with AG cross AQ. What that is Aldrin Guerrero and Aquila Strings have teamed up together to create a perfect pack of strings for me. So this is an artist series that they have, first artist that they've ever collaborated with to create a signature series strings. So Aquila has never done that with anybody. They did give me a chance to develop my own set of strings. So these are to my specifications. So if you like how my ukulele here in Ukulele Underground has sounded for the past year and a half, I think maybe even 2 years, I've been using these strings for this ukulele. And I haven't been telling, I guess I've been telling people during the videos, but for the most part, we don't put it out like full on publicly, like, oh, this has been, this ukulele is
prototypes. That's why. So we were developing them.
So that's the strings that I'm using with the ukulele that I'm using. So I'm using a Kanile ukulele with AG cross AQ strings. These are Aldrin Guerrero Aquila strings. So get them now. Go to the Aquila website and you can order it off of there. There are some dealers that have them, or some music stores do have them. And if they don't, go ask to carry them, because anybody who carries, any music store that carries Aquila should be able to carry these, because this is in their catalog. All right, so you can order them direct, or ask your local music store to carry these for you, so you don't have to keep ordering them. You can have them ordering and just go to the music store and buy them. All right. So this is the AG cross AQ strings. Here's the back. Yeah.
That is like the
legit.
exact strings on your ukulele.
Currently, I just changed these yesterday to play a show, and they're not the prototypes anymore. These are the packs of strings. So if you like how my ukulele sounds today, these are the strings that I'm using.
And do they come with that kind of greenish tint? All of them?
Yeah, all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, I was gonna make it so that only some had, like, you have to you kind of have to find it in the pack. I wanted to make, because I'm into nerd culture a lot. I'm like part of the nerd culture, and I like those blind boxes. So like sometimes in a blind box you get this and you get that. So I wanted to make it different colors, but I'm like, you know what? Everybody should just be the same. So some people might be like, oh, well, the green ones sound better. It's like, no, they don't. So I don't want that confusing. So we just kept it all have that green tint.
It's only for tenor, right?
Yeah, only tenor, only high G. Why? Because I wanted to keep it as close to what I play. Okay, it's not like you guys haven't seen me play a soprano too much or a concert too much. So for me to develop a concert or a soprano set might not make sense, because that's not what it's not what I do. And if I were to do like a low G set, and it's not what I do either. So this is to my exact specifications of what I play currently and what I've been playing, for years. This is the string set that I've wanted, So I actually got to make my dream set, and this is the dream set. Okay, the light greenish hue. I mean,
I'll do a close up so they can see it.
Yeah, so it's not like super duper green where it's like distracting kind of green. It's still like
it's clear.
Yeah,
but
it's
it has
clear.
A tint to it.
Yeah, it's a greenish hue to it. If you guys have ever used Diodario, what is it called? It's the titanium trebles. They have that kind of purplish hue to it. This one has green, like a green hue. Because most ukuleles are, natural finish with that brown, so the green kind of gives it, like, the look of like the trees and the leaves and stuff. And I'm just very, very, very obsessed with the color of mint green. So this is I wanted to get that mint green kind of hue, but I didn't want it to be distracting. So mint green is the perfect color. So in some views, it just looks like clear strings, like right now. But once you get kind of closer to them, they're like, oh, it is green, Well, those work well on Ukulele K1 because it is a concert, but it's a super concert K1. If it's a super concert K1, it should be fine because that means it's a concert, but with a tenor length scale, so it should be fine. But you know what? I've experimented with tenor strings on concerts before, to be honest. So I think these are fine for concert. But they are higher tension because I love high tension strings. So for those people who are not used to high tension strings, I would still recommend you try them because high tension strings enables your ukulele to have better attack. Because if they're loose, then you have to kind of attack them like even harder because your attack on low tension strings might not have that much of an impact because it's it's so loose, you know what I mean? So if it's tight, if it's a tight tension, any small hits with your thumb or with your pointer finger, you're gonna hear because that's just how high tensions work. So I like high tension strings, and these are high tension strings or extra high tension strings, and they're nylon. Aquila doesn't really work with nylon, but for me, they develop a nice nylon set. So this is pure nylon, 100% nylon, I think. And yeah, this is to my specs. I've spent a good year and a half, almost 2 years, developing these strings. So I hope you guys like them. Check them out.
We should just set people's expectations.
Yeah.
If they're expecting Aquila strings, those are
not. No,
yeah.
these are not. Yeah,
Well,
these are
that
the
was
furthest
the thing,
away from
right?
the traditional Aquila sound.
What wasn't it like? Aquila came to you and said "Oh, would you play Aquila strings?" And you said
yeah,
no.
I said no. I would. That's Aquila strings are the last set of strings that I would play. So and I was very honest, and they're like, "How come you don't like Aquila strings?" I'm like, "Let me list you the reasons why I don't like Aquila strings." And based on the list that I made, they've created a set of strings that met with my standards. I'm like, that's why I think it's working so well because Aquila wants to improve. They want to make a better string, and this set is the culmination of that. So some people will like the stuff that Aquila makes now, but for those people who are looking for a different sound, this is a totally different sound that they've added to their catalog. Yeah, so this is what was missing. So we created the missing set from Aquila.
Yeah. If you like the feel and the tension of Aquila white strings, it's just don't go in expecting that with these strings. That's the only
Yeah. So they're not going to be like that loose feeling. They're going to be not super duper tight, but if you were to play any like professional ukulele players ukulele, if you were to play Kalega Miao's ukulele, Jake Shimabukuro's ukulele, all those guys, like there will be this type. Okay, so this is a professional ukulele player set. Okay.
I know, like some people were saying that they missed where can you get them? Like,
you can get them. There's some stores that do carry them already, but if you want them now, you can go to the Aquila websites and order these off of the website, or you can go check out your local music store. And anybody who carries any music store that carries Aquila strings are able to carry these. Okay, so you can ask them like, hey, can you bring some of those AG cross AQ strings? And like, yes, we can. That's it. So because I did help them make it for every time you guys try these, you guys are helping me out. So go get them, go get them, go get them. All right. Good. We're all good here.
There's a few more questions.
Okay, cool.
Kenny asked if you can go over the tremolo. He doesn't know if it's his angle or his depth of attack on the strings, but he can't get a consistent tremolo.
Well, right off the bat, tremolo is a pretty high level technique. It's not something that that is just gonna come like overnight. So it does take a little bit of time. So if you feel like your tremolo is not that consistent right now, it's going to get better. All right, but if you want to see where my hands are, I like to use the peace sign tremolo. So I like to make a peace sign, take my thumb, place it over like this to where my ring finger is. Use this middle finger as the anchor, and because this thumb is behind my middle finger, I'm able to use my middle finger as an anchor and just use the tremolo almost like a small my wrist will pulse. It's like doing a fast strumming, but just like little pulses on the wrist like this. So I'm just using my wrist to pulse. See there? So nice peace sign. Putting in my ukulele. Okay.
Are you also like pointing out that pointer finger?
Yeah.
And kind of using it as a counterweight?
Yeah. Because I can do it with my pointer finger. I know Calais does it with his pointer, but for me, I like to use my middle because it helps me kind of get this nice big movement. Here, like it limits your movement to pretty small, like small pulses.
It seems like it's more consistent that way too. Like it's making it so your actual hits are like more of the same kind of thing. Kenny said, thanks. My nail gets stuck, which is why I thought.
Yeah, you don't want to. Same thing with any kind of picking. Like you don't want to dig too deep inside. You want to just use just the tip of your nail, just like the tip of your fingers. When you strum. So just. It
seems like with that one too, you're actually going at it at an angle, right?
Yeah.
It's not just straight on.
Oh no, actually this one it's more like straight. If for a tremolo is more straight. Like a little bit of an angle, maybe just like 10 degrees, like towards the headstock, maybe 5 even. But for the most part, it's like this, almost like dead on. Yeah. There. Cool. Next.
There was somebody saying that they can't get consistent with their flamenco picking. So I don't know what picking specifically, but if you can get back to us on that, then
what kind of flamenco picking are you talking about? It's a very vague term.
Earlier when we were talking about learning new techniques and starting to that becoming fun. The thing that I'm working on is that the 2-finger technique kind of like Yeah, and you just start learning stuff like that, right? Like I learned that for work to figure out something. And I started using it more and more, and it's like, oh, this is actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
Kind of fun to just
So
use with
if that's what he's talking about, it's just keeping this this pointer and middle finger like not not straight like this. You want one to kind of be in front so that it's staggered a little bit. So by using this kind of staggered, almost like your roll. So if you stagger it, you can actually just pull up ones like in a one motion, just like with that that lead kapana technique that we were talking about. It's like a simple up, and he gets
You're going pointer middle?
Yeah, pointer middle.
I do middle pointer.
Oh, that's weird.
I don't
Because pointer middle is like thumb pointer middle. You're doing like you're doing this.
Yeah, that's what I do though.
Middle pointer. No, yeah. You can. I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it's just like it's a natural, like just almost like closing my fist. It's like closing your fist, thumb, pointer, middle.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
do.
like-
I think I do the other way.
Yeah.
Because it feels more like a roll.
Roll.
So like that's where I get that. Or even
I think it's because it's like it's more of an in like this, and it's not out. If it was out, then then I would do middle pointer. But because I'm like bringing it in, then pointer middle makes more sense. But yeah, I mean you do it, whatever. Yeah. So see if you can stagger it like this. So just do boom 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 boom, then add. And still using my pinky finger as the as the anchor here.
I think if so this is Brandon asking this, and I think if they want to look up more on that technique on our site, Imua has a video on that too, so that might help too. I think we have maybe one more forum question.
Okay.
Do we want to do? Is there any YouTube questions that we want to take?
Yeah, because we're nearing our 2-hour mark, so that's why I'm like,
Yeah. I've been kind of answering a lot of the YouTube questions. Just
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to overstay our welcome here. People are like, it's been 2 hours.
There's like one more question on the chat or plus chat. Are there any advantages of having a 5-string ukulele with a high and low G?
With that, a lot of people just like the the range that the low G has. So by having a 5-string low G with a low G and a high G, it kind of tricks the ear a little bit, so that when you do things like, so you're hearing that, and hearing that low one at the same time of just mixed together, so your ear hears what it wants to hear. If it wants to hear that low note going up of a ba-da-da, it will hear that. And if your ear wants to hear the high one, it'll hear the high one. And having that 5-string just allows you to to do that kind of trick with the ear, right? But it doesn't sound good with everything. So as for myself, I don't really like to use it too much, but I see why people use it. Taimana Garden is a perfect example. She uses the 5-string ukulele with a high and low G.
Actually, no, it's 2 lows.
2 lows?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I think we talked about this before.
Yeah,
2
on the
low
podcast.
G. Yeah, 2 low Gs. That's crazy.
But
oh no, Willie K.
K,
Willie K likes to do that.
Yeah,
And,
Willie K's is low and high.
Yeah.
I don't know if we got that video, but at NAB he was explaining that he likes to do that like with the ukulele, because like it's especially helpful if he doesn't have a guitar player, like filling in that low range, and then it kind of just fills in for him. So if you're trying to go for like a really full sound, really meet that mark. Yeah. And then like from our forum, we have a question from Lord Reagan.
Lord Reagan.
And so they
Wasn't enough that he was president.
So they said that playing open chords was fun, and now they're going into bar chords.
Yeah.
But the question is, which position should they learn, and how do they learn it, or like how do they learn it in stages? You know.
What does that mean in positions? Like, I'm not quite understanding this question.
I think they're probably asking about like the shapes. You know, like how should they learn shapes, and then like necessarily like how do they move the shapes up to learn
And how to learn them in stages?
Yeah.
Okay, so for bar chords, you should the first thing that you should try to just feel out is the amount of pressure that you have to put on those strings in order to hold a bar chord. Okay, so when you're holding a bar chord, you don't want to full on pinch with your fingers down on the ukulele, because it's redundant. It only takes a little bit of pressure, pretty much putting your fingers on down, making sure it's secured. Look at my thumb is back here. It's enough, and I'm just using my thumb to just kind of keep it in place. I'm not fully pinching it. I'm just doing this kind of movement. All right. So pointer finger for me is the designated finger to do a bar chord. So when we're talking about positions, this allows me to almost create a whole new open chord. So you're talking about your open chords. If your open chords are like C, F, and G, if I'm using my pointer finger to bar, it allows me to use that as a brand new open. So when I play F, C, F, and then G, I'm allowed to use this bar chord as a reference, so that this is now my 0. It's almost like a capo. Okay. And as far as the stages, I don't quite understand that part either, and how to learn them in stages. But just see if you can get that. That's like that's pretty much the most important part, is figuring out how much pressure to put down on to play a bar chord.
Should they start off with like practicing those shapes like C, F, and G, and then moving it up through the neck?
Just practice just the bar first, and then do all those things, and practice keys that allows you to use the bar, because all those extra things that I just showed you are extra things. Get the bar chord first. So for example, this B minor bar chord, it can be used in the key of A, or it can be used in the key of G. So I would practice it that way. I would just practice just the bar chord. I wouldn't even think about all the other ones. But I just wanted to kind of give you guys a reason why I'm using my pointer finger to do the bar chords, is so that it allows my other 3 fingers right here to do chord extensions on that bar chord. Okay. And that was the last forum question.
Yeah, and I think that's it.
Okay, cool. All right, so once again, AQ string sets are now out, so get them at the Aquila website, or ask your local retailer to carry them, because that would help me out a lot. And and I did spend a lot of time developing these, so these are to my exact specifications, and I did not approve of it until it sounded good to me. Okay, so this is 2 years of hard work. So make sure, try them out. And tell me how you like them. Okay, I honestly want to hear you guys your reviews on this pack of strings. You can hit me up on Facebook, Aldrin Guerrero on Facebook, and just message me. Say, I tried out your strings and this is what I thought, and I would love to hear them. And I would appreciate some feedback on it as well, because I want to make the best set of strings as I possibly can. And by hearing suggestions and ideas from you folks allows me to evolve this set Okay, so this set is what it is currently right now, but it doesn't mean that there's no room for evolution. Okay, so I highly suggest you guys give me some suggestions and comments.
The only thing that like it might be like, well, is like, oh, it's a little bit too tight. Like,
Yeah,
it's like, well, it's supposed to be
yeah,
tight.
yeah. It is it is subjective. So I mean, it's it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and I'm aware of that. But I would still like to hear why. So I would love to hear the opinions from you guys, and like let's collaborate together. That's kind of what I'm trying to say, because I want to make the best set that we can make together. Okay, so that's gonna be it for Thursday live lessons. Please check us out tomorrow, 1 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. We're going to be back on Aloha Friday Live Jams. I know I haven't been here for the past few Fridays. I've been sick, I've been busy, I've been all these things, and really there's no excuse tomorrow, unless I don't know, maybe like a lion comes out and just bites my head off or something, then I might not be here. So unless lions start roaming around on Kauai, I'll be here as best as I can. Yes, Kahai.
This is the last week for that contest.
Yes.
For the Klingon tuners.
We do have a Klingon tuner that we want to give away to you guys. Where's the Klingon tuner? Oh, right there. All right, behind the ukulele.
On the stool.
Stool.
Right.
The black box.
Oh. Okay. So, Klingon tuners. This awesome tuner we're gonna be giving away. So all you have to do is make a video of yourself tuning your ukulele by ear. So just like how I did it earlier, make a video of tuning your ukulele by ear, and you can have a chance to win this awesome Klingon tuner that we got from the NAM show from the actual Klingon tuner company themselves. So this is straight from from the Klingon company. Okay, so this one from NAM, from us. If you want this one, Kahai can sign it for you. If you guys want Kahai to autograph this Klingon tuner, he can and will.
Yeah, like, is there enough space on that thing?
I don't know. You can get like one of those whiteout pens or whatever. Those, or like,
I'll figure it out.
Kahai will figure out a way. Let us know if you want him to autograph this for you. And you know what? I'll sweeten the pot. I'll add one of these sets right here to the winner of the Klingon tuner.
Yeah, and so far, Brandon is on the chat is the only one who.
Yeah, so if you guys don't enter, Brandon's gonna win it.
He's
so
surefire. If you guys want to give it to Brandon.
Yeah. So show Brandon what's up, and show Brandon how it's done, and get your ukulele. Make a video of you tuning your ukulele by ear. Put it on the UU Plus forums, and we will put you in for the drawing for Klingon tuner, and now in addition AGAQ strings. Competition is fierce, Brandon. All right, so this is it. This week is going to be the last week. We will announce the winner next week on the next Thursday live lessons. And yes, we do give away stuff all the time for Thursday live lessons and also on our Aloha Friday live jams. So I'm going to be giving away another one of these strings on tomorrow's Aloha Friday live jams. So make sure to tune in for that. It's going to be 1 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Aloha Friday live jam is going to be on our YouTube channel. Okay, so I'll see you folks tomorrow. And please tune in to ukuleleunderground.com for all of your ukulele needs. And if you want to take your ukulele playing to the next level, sign up for UU+. So, Dream Guerrero, on behalf of Kahai, Fergan, Aaron Nakamura, we'll see you folks next time. Aloha.